You want to make sure that you only read or buy or give attention to something that you can act on now. So at some point you have to go through an information diet. You have to start unsubscribing from those email lists. You have to start unsubscribing from some of those blogs. And maybe you stay subscribed to the blogs, but you do not have to read every post. I mean, this is how I read blogs. I go in there, look in there to keep, up on what's going on. But to tell you the truth, there's always going to be the latest. Oh my gosh, I did these 10 things to get traffic to my site. And what's the immediate thing you do? You're like, oh, I got to do that. And so then you like save it off, or you try to read it and you try to put it in, but then it distracts you from what you should really be doing. It's like, well, if you don't even have a site up yet, or have your list opt-in up yet, like, why do you need to be doing these 10 new traffic things? Or if you haven't even done the 1 or 2 or 3 basic traffic things that you should be doing, why should you be listening to this other person's 10 new traffic ideas? So make sure you're only reading the stuff that you can act on now, that you need now.
Well, and it's a really tough thing to do, and it takes a while to get to that, especially when you start and you're all excited and you see all the potential in all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like I was gathering information, and I became just a super information junkie and probably wasted a good couple of years on it. And yes, I know a lot about internet business now. I can just honestly, very deeply say that. But how much of that information do I use on a daily basis now? Not a lot. There's very specific things we do now. But I know how to do a whole list of squidoo lens things and all these other things that I don't actually do myself anymore, or tested and it didn't work as well as I thought, and so I just moved on. But I had all this information that I wasted all this time on rather than being really focused. And it it takes a while to get really good at focusing. And it's funny that you have to get good at focusing your learning, but it definitely changes your business when you do, because then you start realizing how to focus on the right things instead of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So remember, ask yourself 2 questions. I mean, when that email hits your inbox, or that blog post all of a sudden comes up and starts getting your little sensors and your brain firing off and going, ooh, that sounds like, that blog headline sounds so cool. I mean, ask yourself, number 1, does this fit my lifestyle, my definite major purpose, the style of business that I've chosen? And number 2, is this something I can read and apply right now? If not, ignore it. If I'm working on getting my blog up right now, I only need to read stuff that's about getting my blog up right now. If I'm in the middle of creating my product right now, I only need to read stuff about creating my product right now. And even if it sounds like the coolest thing since sliced bread, you know what? You can come back to it later. And, I finally started getting that, and I went through a phase of bookmarking and keeping and saving lots of stuff. But the truth of the matter is I rarely went back to it. So I just decided, it's like, you know what? When it's time for that, I'll go searching for the best information on that. So I don't need to save every little thing, and I don't need to bookmark every little thing. I just need to ignore stuff and focus on what's more important right now. All right, number 4, plan and budget and use your time very deliberately. Now, we know there's probably a lot of people listening to this who are still in the getting started, maybe still in a 9-to-5, trying to get to that point of quitting the 9-to-5. So your time may be limited. So it's even more critical that you use your time very deliberately. I mean, you're listening to us early in this episode talk about, as we work less, we're making more money. So you know what? Just because we're doing it full time doesn't mean that you can do it if you only have 10 hours a week. I'll tell you what, when I redid my time budget yesterday, one of the businesses I'm working on right now, I only have about 10 hours a week that I'm spending on it. That's it. So, and I'm still going to be able to get it up and get it going and do all the stuff that I need to do and reach the goals and launches. I know that with 10 hours a week. So there's no reason why you can't plan and budget and use your time very deliberately, whatever your circumstances are. You got to make sure you're not being a brush fire worker. If you find yourself sitting down to do work and it's just like whatever seems to be the latest brush fire or has your latest attention or just feels like it's poking at your anxiety the most, that's what you work on, then you're going to go nowhere, okay? You need to sit down and know that, okay, with this 2-hour block, this is what I'm going to do. This is a deliberate decision that I've made based on the goals that I have set and where I'm at with my business right now. If you follow the squeaky wheel, you're going to fall off the wagon. I mean, that's kind of a lame, I don't know where I got that analogy, but, you don't want to be
you
on
a wagon often?
I don't know. So,
no, it works.
Yeah, I guess, it works. Pick pick one idea, pick one project and focus on that. So one business idea, and then know, okay, what is the one thing within that business I need to do most right now? Is it my definite major purpose? Is it, starting to create content? Is it getting my blog up? Just focus on that. Okay. You don't need to be driving traffic. I mean, there's a reason why in our academy, we go very specifically through things. Yesterday, somebody's like, okay, I don't know what should I do first? Hire my VA or do I start my LLC or should I start driving traffic or do I get my site? It's like, just start at course 1 and go through to course 10. No, 11. Sorry. We have the 11 core courses. And, it's in a very deliberate, because you only need to focus on the one thing at a time. There's no need to, now, if you come into the academy and you've already got a site up and you've already got your LLC started and you've already got a definite major purpose, well, then by all means, jump to course 6, or wherever you're at, but things are set up very deliberately because you just need to do the one thing at a time. Now, there's a few tools that we use to help us plan and budget and use our time very deliberately. We use mind maps profusely all the time, to plan out. I mean, one of the things we review every week in a meeting that we have, in a strategy meeting we have, is what are the one or two massive actions that we have planned for this month. And the bulk of the time we spend is working on those two things. Number 2, we use our calendar a lot. We pre-plan our weeks. We know we're going to work a block here and a block here and a block here. And we know that this block's going to be for traffic. This block's going to be content creation. This block is going to be, for planning a such and such launch. We know in advance so that when we sit down, it's not like, okay, I'm listening for the squeakiest wheel. We sit down and we know what we're going to be working on. We use our organization chart all the time. We've talked about having the chart that maps out all the different hats that you wear within your business. And this is all stuff that in detail, every one of these things, the way we use our calendar, the getting things done, the mind maps, the organization chart, all that stuff, we go through in detail in the academy, but you also see in videos, and we'll have a video to our getting things done video that we've done. I'll have a link to that video in the show notes for this episode. So if you go back to the site and look up, episode 69 then you'll see the link to that, or just go to our video section and look for the getting things done video. That'll start giving you an idea of how we do some of these things. I believe we even have one on organization charts there as well, so I can link to that too. So we use tools to break these things down and be very deliberate about how we spend our time. You got to learn to vet your ideas very fast. I mean, that just goes back to the definite major purpose. If an email comes in your box, if an idea comes to you, just have a system to capture that idea and vet very, very quickly. Is this something that I need to act on now, or should I just save it for later, or just ignore it altogether? That's going to be critical. So earlier today, I turned to one of our academy students, Mark Mason, because I know he's working a full-time job and doing a great job of launching his business while he's still working full time. I know he has very limited time. He's got a family. He wants to spend time with his kids. So one of the things that he's specializing in is finding that way to create an internet business income without necessarily quitting the 9-to-5. So I thought, okay, that's a great person to see. Let's see, what do you do to plan and budget and use your time deliberately and make it happen in that? Because that's what he's set up for himself right now. So I asked him to give a tip of what he's doing there. I mean, because for both of us, it's been, how long now? I guess about 6 years since we've quit our jobs, so we're a little removed from that situation. So I wanted someone who was in it and doing it that way to see what they did. And here's what he said. He sent a great tip in. He said, work on your business every day. I try to spend 1 hour every night on my business at a minimum. Maybe for you, the answer will be 15 minutes or 3 hours, but pick a number and stick to it no matter what. If you do this one thing, 2 things will happen. Consistent focus in small doses will add up to big progress over the months and years. If you're not consistent, you will go days or weeks without investing in your business, and just like the treadmill in your basement, you will forget all about it. Small daily focus gets huge results over time. You will be amazed at how this happens. Rome was not built in a day, and neither will your business. And remember this, and if nothing else, internet marketing, like most businesses, is a marathon, not a sprint. And another thing he pointed out in the email that he sent to me is just that he notices that when he does do that consistent daily thing, that's when his subconscious mind consistently comes up with the ideas he needs to start launching things forward. Whereas if he only looks at his business once a week and the rest of the week he's watching, Lost and Grey's Anatomy, and not there's anything wrong with watching TV shows, but focusing on other things in life, well, that's what his subconscious mind is going to be, thinking about. So that daily focus on business, keeps your little success mechanisms inside your brain constantly turning about your business, and that's where big leap forward type ideas are going to come to you. So